All right.
Of course. Austin
Yeah.
hits live right as we're talking.
Here we are with Maddie P from East Bay. If you're watching this, my apologies. Hey guys, what's up? Austin Robertson here in Bonney Lake. And of course, as always, with Cassandra Marks down the Vancouver area. And of course, this is the Upper Left Show. I'm super pumped to have you guys with us and have a really exciting guest this week, at least to me. I love Miss Mindy. So Mindy Cromcrest down in Utah, the mountains, other mountains, the wrong mountains, but it's okay.
Utah Mom in the house.
And you might know her from Utah Mom on TikTok as well. So if you have any questions for Utah Mom, feel free to drop them in the comment section on whatever platform you're watching. We will try to get to them. If you're watching this and it's not live, go ahead and leave your comments there anyways, and I will still get back to you, or Cass will get back to you right there. Also have banners going across the bottom off and on that can link you up with any of the real estate agents within our network. So if you need help there, we got you. All right, so let's dive right in. So Mindy, tell us a little bit about yourself. Justify why we're spending time with you today.
Other than my charming personality. No, I have been in or around the real estate and mortgage business my entire life. My dad was a top producing loan officer. And then I lived in Phoenix, where I managed a Fortune 500 sales team for a builder in Phoenix, Arizona. I moved back to Utah about 15 years ago when my son was born, to be close to family, and decided to take a shot at getting my real estate license about 12 years ago. And just kind of exploded. I do referral only. I don't do a lot of marketing other than maybe TikTok and social media. I do all referral, and I've just built a business that I'm really proud of and a reputation that I'm really proud of.
That's awesome. I got to ask, before we get into discussing Utah, how did Utah Mom come about?
Utah Mom actually came about. I had been mulling around the idea of doing video because I saw that it was the way of the future. And when I joined Real Broker about almost exactly 2 years ago, it put me around a proximity to people who were doing just amazing things in video. It was so impressive. And I started thinking, what do I want to do in this space to keep? For me, it was not so much about the marketing. It was about staying top of mind, because my client base is so large. I don't have the ability to connect with people and call people every single day because I'm busy producing. I don't run a big team. So for me, it was that personal, hey, I'm over here. Guys, I'm over here. And so Utah Mom started on a mastermind. I had started some TikToks that were just like silly, goofy, tried to keep it realtor content, but also fun. And at one mastermind, Tim Macy said, you should do hyper local content. And I thought, there are so many silly, crazy, weird things about Utah that I was like, let's just roll with it and laugh about it and make fun of ourselves. And it was just really wildly popular in the beginning. TikTok's algorithms are a little harder to break now as it's gained popularity, but kind of took off. One of my first videos went almost 1 million views with Utah Mom. So she's the star of the show now on my TikTok. She's the one that stuck, and it has been amazing to see the results of that little tiny silly thing.
And if you're a business owner watching this, I think one of the things I love about your TikTok, and Cass, I promise I'm going to get on track here in a minute, is a lot of people are like, oh my God, I don't have the bandwidth to post on, social media like every day, all the time. And with your Utah Mom skits, you're not on there every single day, and you still get your traction, right?
Yeah, I do. I do need to do better at that. And, the reality is that we're humans, and I have a family. In addition to real estate, I have 4 kids, 2 left at home. And so for me, it's like, I don't have the ability to really do 4 videos a day. And to create a Utah Mom skit takes so much energy, and the dialogue takes energy, and then to deliver it correctly, it's all kind of a science. Mm-hmm. It seems so simple, but for me, it's just not, because, well, number one, I'm old. But if a middle-aged lady can get on TikTok and get 100,000 followers, I think almost anybody could really do it, as long as your content, this is one thing that the mastermind I learned, if your content is good enough, if your content is funny enough, you're going to have a following.
Yep.
And it's worked.
And I will say every Utah mom video that I have seen, I'm usually almost in tears by the time they're over, because it's just like, I can totally see them all happening, like every single one of them.
It's
So
totally true.
when you do those, do you pull from experience and just kind of change it a little bit?
Oh, for sure. And, you know, I asked a couple of colleagues, I know some of you have already heard me say this, but when I first did it, this is a very conservative community. I live in Utah County, which is like the hyper conservative community in Utah. And I asked some colleagues what they thought before I posted, and they're like, you should not post that. You are going to offend so many people. And I said, I guess then I do. And I posted it, and my clients who are the Utah moms, the response from them was the best, because they're like, oh my gosh, I stop whatever I'm doing when I see that you've posted, and I'm like, oh my word, I love this. And they roar with laughter. My favorite, though, is all of the people, the couples that will come up to me and they're like, oh my gosh, we were binge watching your Utah mom in bed last night. I'm like, I am in bed with everyone. All the couples, I'm just in bed and they're laughing at me. I'm like, I don't know. But the fact that I can just bring, the world's been really heavy the past few years, it feels like. And the fact that really my mission is to just make people smile and laugh and forget, even if it's 20 seconds, forget about problems and just smile. And remember, there's somebody out there who cares about me. They all know I care.
I love it. That's super awesome. And it is fun to watch. So this is kind of where we start off the show.
Thank you for bringing all the joy to us in bed, Mindy. All the joy in bed.
I do my part. Thank you. You're welcome.
So we're going to discuss.
Smile out of Austin on that one.
We're going to discuss what's going to be happening, I think, in the next year, what's kind of coming around in Utah, coming up for 2023. But as Cass knows, I'm a super big history guy. And I think it's always super important to know where we came from to look at where we're going. So will you break down for me the events in Utah that have been leading up maybe over the past 6, 12, 24 months that have led us up to where we're at right now? What have people been experiencing in your area, and how has it gotten us to where we're at right now?
So I've been in the business here in Utah for about 12 years now. And when I got into the business, the market looked very similar to where it is now with lower prices. So essentially, the faucet here turned on really quick. We have a lot of business here. We have Facebook, huge Facebook data center that's being built. There's like, I think 100 acres of that. Adobe doubled their campus size right here in my backyard in Lehi, Utah. It's called Silicon Slopes. There's so much tech. There's Oracle, there's Microsoft, there's Texas Instruments. So right here within this valley, we had a huge boom of tech companies that came and provided a ton of jobs. With that came people from out of state being recruited from all over the country to come and have the tech jobs. So with that, of course, we didn't have enough supply. So just to give you reference, we in 2017, we were 56,000 homes shy in our shortage. In 2000 last year, currently we're at 31,000 homes still as a shortage, because our growth here has been so explosive. So to reference like Utah Mom, the growth within Utah itself, the birth rate and the population doubling, the population here has doubled over the past 10 years. Part of that is these families that had big families that the kids stay and then they get married and then they need housing and then they have babies that need housing. And so what we're seeing between the tech and the business, the thrift, the industry that is here, coupled with the population growing from within, we are just a super popular place to be. And then third is we have beautiful mountains. You can hike, you can bike, you can go south and hit up all of the national parks like Zion's, Moab. There's just a huge, Park City is a huge draw to Utah as well. That's like its own little ecosystem and movie star billionaire playground up there. So we are the Olympics were held there. We're just very visual for people who want good schools, Our economy is among the strongest in the nation. We have good government here for the most part. And there's not a big separation of church and state here, so that tends to be an issue. But honestly, I just think between the tech and the growth within and the healthy lifestyle that we support here, it's just boomed.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of that, other than maybe the government, sounds pretty similar to what we have here in Washington. Now, one of the things I thought was interesting about what you said, and just from something that I've been obviously keeping my eye on, is you're talking about Meta bringing in new space. You're doing a lot there. I'm seeing a big difference. So I've got Meta in my backyard right now that has just laid off about 750,000 people.
Wow.
Shut down office spaces, and then also had a mega deal built out in Bellevue, which they're going to be abandoning.
Wow.
And so they're moving some of these operations to other states. Sounds like your market is going to be one of them. So let me ask you, like, judgment-free zone, why do you think that Utah is becoming such a strong draw for these tech companies that have traditionally held up spaces in Seattle and Silicon Valley?
I think it's the standard of living that we have. I think that families really attract here. So these people who are out of school as techies at 25 or 30 years old are now starting their families and looking for a place that is, I mean, obviously Utah is still more affordable than Seattle, right? I mean, the wages here by and large are a little bit lower than the national average. And I think that we'll see that change as some of these bigger tech companies expand and grow. But honestly, I feel like it is most likely because it is just a great place to raise families and have great, healthy recreation. And the economy, again, is among the strongest in the company. In the country. We operate from little debt compared to other states.
Yeah, that's conservative. Utah is it is cheaper than where me and Cass are at, and it is cheaper than California. But that is an interesting point you bring up about the your average wage of a worker, because Utah compared to like the Midwest or the South is still quite a bit more expensive. But if you look at the national average, the incomes of workers are lower, right? I mean, by about 10 grand, I think, on the average from the last thing I looked at. But your job market is fantastic.
Yeah.
So is it that the unemployment rate is down because there are jobs that accommodate to all different levels of the workforce? Is it, what keeps that number down, and how does that not just trash living costs when you're essentially West Coasters?
It's actually a really great question. So, I do a lot of, I'm a nerd with graphs, charts. I go to every symposium I can on numbers. So Josh Romney, who heads Intercap lending here, I participated as a speaker in something last month, and he brought 1 million slides. One of his slides showed that the production jobs here in Utah are higher than almost anywhere in the nation. And we have huge Amazon fulfillment centers here that have provided a ton of jobs, so that those production jobs are actually paying probably $3 to $5 more than some of those states you mentioned in the South or wherever, because people understand there is a cost of living here that is elevated from where it was 5 or 10 years ago. So I think that we are seeing more production jobs, but we're also seeing a lot more executive jobs with the technology companies. So we kind of have a good balance of both.
Austin prompted me, and I was totally not ready for that.
Bam! Got you.
It's been a long couple days, okay?
This is live. Technically, it's a holiday. Please have some.
We're still human.
So it seems like, I know that we've got a bunch of Amazon fulfillment centers being added here as well, but those jobs, I know what they pay here, and you can't afford a house in Portland on those jobs, not without, dual income and probably both dual jobs. So it's interesting to see that even though the wages are lower in Utah, that they can still afford a home because there's so much popularity moving there. I'm surprised that the house prices haven't gone up faster. What have you kind of seen over the past few years with house pricing in Salt Lake?
So the housing prices actually in 2000, let's see, we're in 20. So 2020, they went up about 22%. And I could be off a percent or two, but overall. And then last year or the year before that, so 2021, we saw 25.3%, so about 25% equity growth. And last year, so just to give you some stats, in May of 2022, our average days on the market were 6. Our average price for a single family 3-2 home was $598,500, and we sold over 4,000 houses. In November of 22, which is the most recent MLS statistics that we've been given, we're 39 days on the market. We're 221 average price per square foot, and the average median single family home is $525,000. We still sold 2,300 homes in November. So year over year, we are still, even though we saw a huge dip, we are still almost 2% positive, even after that huge dip in our equity. So for the past 2 to 3 years, we're still averaging about 10 to 15% equity growth here in Utah.
Okay, so those numbers you just threw out are absolutely crazy. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself that, so about with you, the average home price in Portland is about $615, right?
Okay.
But we did not take as much of a hit as you did, like down to 525. No, we went just below 5. We really haven't like drawn back that much. What caused that, you think?
I think that we just saw so much escalation in price so quickly over the past 2 years that the interest rates obviously were a huge part of that. We were in a market where everyone was 50, 70,000 over, waive all contingencies to, okay, things are now sitting on the market for a month. And average days on the market, 39 days, that was nothing. When I got in the business in 2011 or whatever, we were like average 90 days on the market. So I feel like we're still in a really healthy market where we have equity growth. Our prices are still healthy. We're still selling 2,000 or 3,000 houses a month, and it's winter. Like typically this time of year is slow anyway for us here in Utah.
These days on markets tend to like terrify. Oh my God, it's going to take me a month. But like, it's not bad. Even at 39 days, like if you look here at this average days on market, right? So our entire MLS on average in 2019 was 44 days. No one was freaking out about it. No one cared, right?
Yeah.
We had this trend, everybody, if you look at, Cass's world, same time, 30 days on market, like nobody cared. It was very normal. But then we hit this dip, right? At the beginning of 2022. And there was just that realignment mentally of this is what's normal now. And it's not. We have people in our backyard that are freaking out right now. Just talked to a guy on the phone today who was upset because Zillow told him his home should sell in 1 to 6 days, and instead it sold in 15. And so if you look at our averages right now, Bonney Lake, my town's 20, Cass is at about 17, Tacoma's at 20, and Tyremless is at 25. None of that hurts my feelings at all. I'm going to be completely honest with you. None of that makes me feel sad. And even at 39, I saw something that you guys had the second highest like time on market growth in the past few months, only next to like Raleigh, North Carolina, and then Bozeman was right after that. And I found it very funny because it went from somewhere in the mid-teens to the 30s. And I thought, man, there have been markets where you had, 6 months on market.
Yeah.
And so it's just this adjustment of mentalities where, the news said everything's falling apart. We said, no, it's not. And it's taking people about, 3 months to kind of come to the realization that stuff is normal. And so at a 39 days on market, for you and your clients, do you feel comfortable there? Like that seems like really a pretty nice place to operate.
Yeah, I feel like it's a really stabilized place. And the advantages of that is that people don't have to make such a forced quick decision. I mean, this is the biggest financial opportunity and investment that people make in their life. And we were at a place in this spring where you can't think, you're offering money over, your earnest money is hard, the day of acceptance, like all kinds of crazy waivers of due diligence, inspections. It's just not healthy. And so I feel like we are very stable now. And I think that fortune, I love the quote that says, fortune favors the bull. And what I'm kind of explaining to my clients right now, especially buyers, is that there's so much opportunity in the market. If you're prepared to buy, I had one that closed Friday that we were able to negotiate 8 or 9,000 in closing costs and about 40,000 off the price of the house, just because this is the things are slow and this is the opportunity market. So I said, if you can be a bull in a bear market, then you're really going to be a bull in a bull market. And so I think that it's just important to understand and educate your clients that you're going to look back at this period of 2023, much like you did in 2012 or 2013, and say, that was such a great opportunity to purchase. I missed people who are waiting. This is your time, because you can get contingencies, you can get closing costs, you can have time to resonate and think. The lower earnest money deposit when you make an offer instead of crazy big earnest money. And lenders have buy down options. There's just so many amazing reasons that if you're prepared to purchase, buy. Don't let the interest rate scare you. And then when it comes down, then you're saving even more money and you got your house on sale per se.
What about
Yeah.
the people that feel like right now, Mindy, that are in Utah that are saying, you know what, there's a pretty massive housing shortage, and I know that's going to be driving my prices up. So why don't I just rent for the next couple of years and let some of these homes get built?
I always say when people talk to me about renting versus buying, I think that has to be a mindset. You have to be of the mindset that you want to own a property. If you are already convinced that you want to rent and you don't want to be responsible if a water heater goes out and you don't want to have to maintain a property properly, then you really probably shouldn't buy. But if you are in a place where you want to get ahead financially and really secure your futures, those little buyers that closed Friday, both of them 21 years old. Now you tell me how much further ahead they're going to be than a 21-year-old who's renting, and the rents here in Utah are ridiculous. Like the average rent for a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom place that's in decent shape is somewhere between $1,600 and $1,900. I have 5 rentals that are all renting almost $2,000 a month for just basic newer housing. And so I would say that if you are of the rental mindset, then you probably need to stay there. But if you're ready to make a good fiscal decision and put yourself in a powerful position in 5 to 10 years, this is a longer game for you, then jump in right now and get a deal.
And I completely agree with that. You know, we're seeing similar things here too, where if you want to get a house and you don't want to put as much money down, now is a great time, because you can get seller concessions, you can get seller paid closing costs, seller paid buy downs, you can get all that right now. So you're not walking in having to throw everything, the kitchen sink, your first child, and a new Tesla to get a car.
Yeah,
So.
these kids got in for $500. They paid for their appraisal, and that was it.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah,
That's
awesome.
also that's a huge win for you as well, because you know it does matter who you work with, whether they know what they're doing, and obviously with your experience, you've seen the ups and the downs in the market and everything in the past 12 years, where a lot of agents haven't. You have that experience. You know, so you would advise your kids to buy if they could, correct?
Oh, my kid, I have a son in Washington, D.C. right now going to medical school, and they really don't have a lot of money. I was able to network with another agent within our company, and he is able to get them into a very specialized program where they're buying with zero down as well, a little condo that they can live in while he finishes school, and then use it as a rental or sell it and pay off some of his medical school loans. So yeah, and I think Austin and I have something in common. We're both married to lenders. So for me, I love that little perk because I can check every single day and say, what options do you have? What programs do you have for new buyers? Where were the rates today? What do you think that's going to happen in the next little bit? Like, I love having that little leg up on. It's kind of a dream team when people work with us because you know how it goes.
Yeah, it definitely plays out into your advantage, and I think that's a good. I'm gonna throw a nice plug in there for Mindy. That's like an all-in-one, all-in-one shop. So if you want to buy or sell in Utah, like you should probably holler at Mindy, because even if she can't help you, we're in the market. Hubs can probably still write that loan. So take advantage of
And
that.
I'll give you a good laugh. I mean, if nothing else,
Sure.
right? I make a good friend.
I can attest to that one.
No, thank
So
you.
we've talked a lot about housing. Are you seeing are you guys getting a large influx from California?
We are. In fact, there's a website, and I can't think of the name of it off my head, but you can actually go and see where money. It's a federal website. You know what I'm talking about?
Howmoneymoves.com.
Yes. And you
Yes.
can
I
see,
sent
so
it to Austin the other day.
I'm obsessed. So I check that at least once a week and just say, okay, is money still coming in? I would say last year, I probably helped a total, probably 20 to 30% of my buyers came from California, and I helped one millionaire and then 2 millionaire and 3 million. Like, they all refer their friends from Northern California that are like, we're sick of the politics, we're sick of the government. Like, we have there was actually a billboard that someone paid to have on the main freeway here, I-15, that said, keep your California out of my Utah.
Yep. Yeah, we have a lot of don't Seattle my, and then any town around Seattle, basically.
Yeah. So people have a little salt around it, but the people that I've moved here have made great contributions to the community. They're great families. And so I'm happy they're here.
Yeah, so Austin's got the website pulled up here, and you can go by county to county. Green means you're getting more in than out. She is in Utah County, which is over to the right.
And Salt Lake County, I work as well.
Yep. So if you click in there, let's see here. Most of the money coming in is Los Angeles County, Salt Lake County, Orange County. I can't read the other one because it's too tiny.
It's all California.
Yeah, but it's all California, and then they're losing two. It looks like people are moving out, maybe one into Clark County, Nevada. That's Reno, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's Vegas even.
Oh, Clark County's Vegas? Okay.
Yeah. So I think that people from Utah, I think a lot of people, and someone from Florida would probably tell you, those states that don't have a state tax like Nevada and Florida, they're seeing a boom in their growth too, because that saves them a lot of money. Especially, we have gas tax here. Every time I go to the grocery store, it's almost 8% now. They don't have that in Florida and Nevada. So, like, fiscally, those are also good moves. But it's interesting that Salt Lake County, there's a lot of people that can't afford Salt Lake County anymore because their prices are a little higher than Utah County. And so people are leaving Salt Lake County to get more bang for their buck in Utah County. That's kind of
for the people that don't know the geography as well either, that are listening from the Pacific Northwest, Utah County is just a little bit south of Salt Lake, and it's mostly headed by Provo, I believe, and the universities down there.
Yeah.
BYU's down there. And so there's a lot of influx of people, and they come and they stay. And, but it's we've seen similar things going on in both the Seattle and the Portland markets, where people get flushed out because they want to buy and they just can't afford to be in that more urban, like, sprawl area. They've got to go out further.
Yep.
Or they're sick of the traffic and the people. It's less people-y as you go rural. And a lot of people can work remote now.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, well, if I have the option to not live right in the city, I want to go a little bit further out where I can hike on my break.
Absolutely.
That sounds lovely.
So with that, talking about the university, I saw a thing where they're going to be adding in about 6,000 units for university housing. That's also been a crunch on the housing crisis that you guys have been having. I saw that also the governor's working on legislation that could literally force towns to build homes. It sounds like you guys, the housing crisis portion for you guys is getting really insane, and that makes sense with lower inventory already, huge influx, multiple big schools. things like that. Like, do you see legislation getting actually accepted that would force towns to start building? Because we're seeing that builders in Utah are starting to step back from production already. So I think it's interesting to see legislators trying to force production.
Yeah.
Whereas legislation is trying to make it work.
I have seen that there has been legislation forcing affordable housing for people as well. And I know that there is a division. So the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is very predominant here. That's where the Utah Mom thing comes from. But the church actually has a division of real estate where they buy housing, multifamily housing, to provide for maybe people who are down on their luck or refugees that are trying to escape, extreme conditions like Russia, where we try to lend a helping hand. And so, yes, I think that the legislation is doing that, but there is such a need. Those universities, I think we have 3 universities that have 20 to 30,000 students within a 50-mile radius. And so they keep, with the online thing, they can take more and more students, but those populations are also just growing, and there's nowhere to put these people that's affordable. So I think the government has to get involved because rents are so high and not everyone can afford that kind of rent or to buy.
On this, I've seen some of the affordable housing concepts they're looking at is to create a model that is, the way I'm reading it, is essentially cookie cutter homes. So it's more predictable and they can just kind of pop up little subdivisions along the way. Do you feel like creating the cookie cutter model like you might see in neighborhoods in Arizona and things like that will help create this model faster? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't love them. I once had a client that said, I feel like if I come home drunk, I'm not going to be able to find my house. And I was like, that's kind of valid. I thought that was a funny comment. First of all, funny that anyone's drunk in Utah. But anyway.
That is a Mormon joke.
Why would be?
We'll let it go.
We're just going to let it go. We went a little left there. So we're upper left on that. So I would say, yeah, and a lot of those communities, unfortunately, are backed by estate type homes. So what that does is kind of ticks people off who have the bigger, nicer homes, because their value will come down, because if their average sales price is $100,000 or $200,000 less, even if it's based on square footage and everything else, anything where there's a boom in multifamily housing or cookie cutter housing, innately people don't want to live there because it's very transient and there's a lot of rentals and it just brings the quality of the neighborhood down. So we're seeing a lot of people kind of the backlash of that too. Like, I don't want that multifamily in my 1 acre, 6,000 square foot house backyard. So it's going to be interesting to see. The problem is that we have to assimilate to the growth. We can't change it. It's going to happen. And they're estimating, all of the chief economists here in the state are estimating that we will see our population double again just here in Utah County over the next 10 years. And down the Wasatch Front, so Salt Lake and Utah County. And so, like it or not, it's coming. And we've seen it. When I used to say that 10 years ago, people would say, there's no way. And we're there. We've doubled in 10 years. It's going to happen.
And I think a large part of that comes from overall, the largest population of the millennials, the largest section of the millennials turned 30 in 2020. So they're like having kids, doing the family thing, and that's not helping anywhere.
And they really like the outdoor lifestyle. They love camping. Mm-hmm. They love that disconnect from city. So it's popular.
We do like being away from the city, yes. We like being able to go out and do our own thing.
Yes, I hide on my farm.
Yeah, see, you guys know.
I mean, so if you look at, this is something I want to touch on. So if you're listening to this, I'll try to explain it to you. But right now they say that the average first-time home buyer, people separating from the home, right, is between 33 and 35 years old. Yep. So new real estate being built is what's considered your supply and demand. So when Mindy sells her house and CAS buys it, there is not an increase in supply and demand. So when a new buyer enters the market, there has to be a new home built to equate for that one-to-one supply and demand. And so we're seeing this huge influx, and oh my God, there's not enough homes. But let's see here. So this is a quick trend chart that shows the birth rates in America, right? So if we take that average buyer and we say we've been building homes steadily about the same pace since the 2008 recession kind of was over, and we go back to that 33, 34 year mark, that puts us about right here. So we've had a huge influx in the amount of humans now that are entering the markets, but we've not been building. And I think that your market is a particularly great example of how this puts a stranglehold on communities.
Well, and I want to say this too. So builders right now, even though we're at a 31,000 home deficit here in Utah, builders have halted some of the building because obviously they're seeing cancellations with the rates. People can no longer qualify. So they're slowing that down. However, we're going to be in a crisis similar to 2017 and be at like 40, 50,000 because if they halt building, we're already in a shortage. And then the interest rates come down, there's going to be an influx of people who've been waiting in the wings to purchase. And now we're back in the same crisis we were a few years ago, going, we don't have enough. And so what's that going to do to the market? It's going to create another frenzy of over offering and crazy terms of offers. And so that's why I say this is really the market of opportunity. If you're prepared, jump in.
Yeah, the chief economist for University of Utah said to the entire real estate world, hang in there through 2023, 2024 is going to be the year. So you think in just 12 months, that's going to be swallowed up and the opportunity is going to be gone?
I do. I really do. And historically, if you look, election years are like that, right? The Fed always brings the rates down. They want the rah new president. So that election year coupled with interest rates and inflation is almost really at a peak right now. So we're probably not going to see rates go up much further. I predict, and I could be wrong, that we'll see rates drop down to 5%, further stabilizing the market. We'll probably see values here in Utah over the next 6 months continue to decline a little bit, a small percentage. I don't foresee it being a vast percentage. And so what that will do is next year, 2024 will be bonanza. I better take all my vacations this year.
Yeah, I feel like Mindy, you, the three of us, kind of agree on what's going on. On our last show, Austin and I did kind of a prediction show of where we saw the market going, and you're right. There's going to be this little lull in interest rates, and we've seen it here. Just in the last 2 weeks, the interest rate dropped just a tiny bit. And we're starting to see multiple offers again. People are like, oh gosh, let's go. Like, time is now. So if they continue to drop just a tiny bit, it's going to just bring more and more buyers out because that affordability is just that much more. And we're going to be back to multiple offers and over asking and where we're at. So, I mean,
particularly in certain price points.
Yes. And that is absolutely the truth. You know, you're looking at more like the entry level price points for everyone's market. Ours is, we don't see a house under 450 in our market unless it's like a townhome or a condo. But I've been seeing people getting into houses for like 385, 375 right now, which is
opportunity.
I haven't seen those numbers since early 2018, maybe 2017. So it's
wild.
The interest rates are a little high, but getting a buy down and then you just wait for the interest rate to go down again.
Yep.
And do your refi.
And I think we'll see that. And you go refinance and you're a couple hundred more in your pocket, and like I said, you got a great deal already.
Yeah.
So.
And Mindy, guys, Mindy's not wrong at all. Like if it's the right time to buy, it's the right time to buy. And where she's saying go back and refinance if it drops. Listen, a lot of times people get confused with the federal interest rates and mortgage rates. mortgage rates do not follow the federal rates. They tend to follow the consumer price index in the last rolling 12 months of time. Okay, so she already is predicting, if you're in Utah, what you should be looking for. Let's check this out. So if you look here at this last 12 months of time, right? For
Zoom it in. Up top.
We're so bossy.
There you go.
Okay, so look at this.
I don't got my glasses on.
Right now, so your consumer price index is finishing right now at a little about 6.5. And this is going to be the average of kind of all of these months. But right now, we're going to be cutting this one off. And so as we keep diving down, these interest rates should be trending about the exact same as your CPI. And that's what it's done traditionally throughout history. So Mindy's right. Like if you look at things going up, they hit us. September was god awful for everybody. And the last 3 months we've seen some easing, and we're continuing to be on that decrease. So could everything go haywire? Yeah, definitely. But I think Mindy is steering you guys right. If you're in Utah right now, the trends, the predictability shows that she knows she's exactly what she's talking about here. Mm-hmm. So if you need her, holler at her, reach out to her. In fact, Mindy, how do people in your area get a hold of you? What's your best contact info? How can we connect them with you?
So you can call me at 801-636-3198, or my email is my first name, MINDY, Sells, SELLS, Utah, UTAH, Mindy Sells Utah at gmail.com. Or hit me up on TikTok under my name, MINDY CRONQUIST. And I have a link tree where you can get me anywhere from there. So,
and that is dropped in the description below for you guys already. So
thank you.
Super easy. Click on there, check her out on all those platforms. Mindy, is super awesome having you. Cass, will you send us out?
Yeah. Thanks again.
Guys. I love you guys.
Oh my gosh, we love you, girl. So happy that you could join us today. Wealth of knowledge. You taught me so much more about the Utah area and the market and kind of why. I didn't know so many large companies were there. I Googled, but the Google machine didn't tell me that. So
Uncle Google.
Well, guys, thanks again for tuning into The Upper Left. Thank you to Miss Mindy, the Utah mom, for joining us today. Don't forget to check her out on Instagram and TikTok. Obviously, search Utah mom. You guys got it. Spend some time with her while you're in bed. Just scroll through all of her videos. They'll be great. I promise. If you learn some things, have questions or anything, you can reach out to Austin and I. Just drop comments down below. And if you found this video fun and informational, please don't forget to like and subscribe, because we're going to have tons of more content. I mean, Austin puts out tons of good content every week. I try to, my very best. But yeah, follow us. And then speaking of our next episode, our next show will be January 30th at 2 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Central. And we will have the fabulous, super amazing Mr. Matty P from the East Bay of San Francisco. There's so much to talk about with San Francisco too. I mean, the amount of people, the influx that is going in and out, California as a whole. I mean, it's been crazy how much their house prices have declined. So I'm really getting excited to hear a lot from Matt on that. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. I am Cassandra Marks, and I'm in Portland and Vancouver. He is Austin Robertson, Bonney Lake, Washington. Have a wonderful day, you guys. Thanks, Mindy. We'll see you guys next